All right. Market direction. Bouncing around. All right, as we can see, we don't have too much direction going on in the markets. As a matter of fact, it was just in the last 3-4 minutes, wasn't it, where they dropped it from the markets from being kind of a doji day down to, I'm guessing it was because of all the rigmarole that's going on over in the Saudi Arabia embassy stuff. All right, so market still not in any decisive direction. And more than likely, it's going to take a few days for this injury or sentiment injury to get righted around. So if they hold here at the 200 on the Dow, kind of indecisive down here. So when you look and you can't see any real change of or any direction, that's pretty much telling you that you shouldn't be fully committed one way or the other, obviously, in this market. Now, with that, we know right now that there are a couple sectors, and again, that is being able to take it or analyze not which stock, but if you can see that a whole sector is being bought, that pretty much tells you the investor sentiment in that sector is it's not a single stock that's bouncing, but a whole industry. So this is the one I really like, because if you take a trend, and you can draw this wedge formation, and they broke out to the upside, I don't suspect they'll be able to get back up here. But even if they get back up in this range, that makes for some very good option trades. Now, CGC also had a relevant trading day in that it broke out through this level, coming out of a little slow curve. And not so much even the slow curve, look kind of your almost a morning star signal, but at least you have an inverted hammer. This is why knowing what each signal illustrates, that if this was an inverted hammer trading positive, we know pretty much that the probabilities are that it's going to trade up. And if we can calculate the probabilities are that this is going to trade up, then we can visually see what type of pattern we have, a little slow curve. And always a rhetorical question is, if we're buying here, do we know we're going to have an 18% gain that day? Definitely not. But it puts us in situations where the probabilities of being in these type of moves are greatly in our favor. So you're looking at something like New Beverage, little doji sandwich. Where do you think the next likely target's going to be? Somewhere up here, but still gives you a good 20% upside potential just to hit the upper resistance level. And Crone had the kicker signal Friday. Didn't mean a whole heck of a lot because it closed right here at the T-line. I shouldn't say it didn't mean, stimulate anything. But the fact that you had a little kicker signal and stochastics coming back up, and it did it right here at the 50, and it closed at the T-line, made it very simple. It opened positive. You probably wanted to be buying immediately. This is what I call convergence analysis. What is the signal? Where are the stochastics? What other indicators can you add to the analysis? What type of trend breakout can you add to the analysis? That just puts you in a high probability trade situation. So this is nothing more than taking the visual analysis that we recognize as far as the signals and patterns and support levels and the T-line, when you start adding that all together, you pretty much create a situation where anything that you're going to add is going to be a high probability, or anytime you get into a position, it's going to be based upon a high probability situation. Flat handle, doji, gap up, breakout, kind of a scoop pattern. The ETF for the weed stocks, high probability it's going to move higher. So anytime you can see the different signals, I like the McMuffin because it's so easy to identify and we know what the results are going to be. Morningstar signal. And even if you break down that Morningstar signal, what do you got? You have an inverted hammer, bullish confirmation. Then you've got your doji sandwich. There's your McMuffin, a morning sandwich. And what other aspects can we apply to this analysis? Addition with the stochastics coming up. We had a doji sandwich that broke through the T-line. So you add that all together, the prospects for this moving higher is extremely strong. Some of the other ones that we own, VISI, needed to stay above the T-line. Again, there's your inverted hammer. Make this a little bit bigger. Bullish confirmation. Where's your next likely target? Probably the 50-day moving average. Helix. Coming back up. Almost a little trend kicker, but definitely a J-hook pattern setting up. Sohu we've been mentioning for the last few days because you had the piercing signal and one of your 12 major signals. Then a gap up through the T-line. Where's your first likely target? At least here, possibly back up here. So again, the analysis of the strong price moves, even though the market is not showing you any direction, still allows us to take advantage of knowing what's going on in investor sentiment. AMCX, relevant. Look at all the aspects. Oversold, right on the 200. Did a bullish flutter kicker signal, one of your strongest reversal signals. Is this an opportune time to buy? Definitely on a positive open. Where's your first target? The T-line. Is that very far away? Not really. But if it comes up to the T-line and fails, at least you're coming back out. You're already in a positive trade situation. At least you're taking a little bit of profit. Restoration Hardware. Best friend. Another gap up. Notice what it did today. Consolidated to the T-line. Where do you think the first target's going to be? Up here. So if you can see that you've got a strong signal, and this is, again, what I'm going to be going through this weekend, is quantifying which signals and patterns are the strongest. Then we're going to kind of, once we go through analyzing each one, quantifying them as the best ones, then I'm going to go one step further, and we're going to kind of break them down into different strategies where you might be, if you're a day trader, you might be watching the kicker, the best friend, the left-right combo, things that are going to give you fast, immediate moves. Or if you aren't as you want to be more of a swing trader, it might be the belt hold confirmation, or the 45 degree, or setting up for a steady eddy. Things where you don't have to be watching it on a day-to-day basis or on a intraday basis. I think there's 2 or 3 other categories that I have. But with that, we're going to kind of delve a little bit into what option strategies might you want to look at in each one of those. And I say delve into because a couple weeks after that, we're going to be going into very in-depth trading strategies utilizing candlestick signals, so that if there's always the question, which strike price or which execution date, that's all going to be answered by giving you the options based upon the risk-reward factor that your own nature is. So we got a lot of information coming up here in the next few weeks. Now this one was one that I should have been more prepared to tell people, put your stop here or put your stop here. Because this is what we call the advanced block. Big day, smaller day, smaller day. That tells you that bulls are running out of steam. IONS, there's your inverted hammer, kind of a bullish kicker signal. I'd still be a buyer of this one, especially if they do a doji sandwich coming up through the T-line tomorrow. Now, a couple that we have stayed short at an STX, because even though it gapped up the other day, it immediately started selling off. So this is, again, one of the benefits of seeing what type of color a candle is. But even though it gapped up, you say, oh man, that's a reversal. But as soon as they started showing the red candle, I told you, they aren't buying it, so let's hold off, because what's the worst case scenario? Comes down. If it comes back up through the open, that's when you close out your short position. Yeah, but IDT, had the best friend signal, so I wouldn't. I'd look at this as a J-hook pattern potential setup. You can, if it starts trading lower tomorrow, John, but I have kind of suspicion. Ooh, wow. Hold on, they got my Mahindra tractor on. TV, okay. I suspect they're going to do a doji and then start taking it back up. I missed it. What was the best signal for trading, day trading? Oh, we're going to go through a batch of them, Rick. That's the point of doing the quantitative top-ranked signals and patterns this Saturday. So if you haven't signed up for it, I would suggest doing it, because it's what kind of brings all the relevancy of knowing the signals and patterns kind of to a point to where you're now not only recognizing the signals and patterns, but you're also kind of eliminating that question that a lot of people ask. They, oh, shoot, we just went through 20 or 30 good-looking charts. How do you pick out the best ones? Well, that's where it's going to be, that you're going to be able to pick out the best ones that you want to be doing based upon which ones we feel are the quantified best ones. Would this be free for folks who have done a similar or same? Yeah, if you've done the top-ranked signals and patterns training in the past, you just let eBay, but Abe know. But if you haven't done this session before, you really want to kind of do this, because this is what kind of brings everything together. And it's not so much that we're doing these trainings so you recognize the signals and patterns. It's more that when you recognize them, you understand that there's a completely different perspective on how to trade successfully based upon what happens in human nature versus all the other indicators that people like to teach you as far as support and resistance. I mean, those are all things that we can add. But anything that a lot of other techniques train you to do, they're just kind of support indicators for what candlestick signals are telling you are happening. What that is point. Those are indicators that just act as confirmation for what your signals and patterns and candlesticks are already telling you. Lithium motors, you still want to stay short on this one, with the expectation that you're still in a bearish J-hook pattern. Your first target probably is at least down here at the bottom of this trend channel. But you also know the parameters. You don't want to see them trade it back up above this level. If they do, while you're here in the oversold area, that means that was a bottoming point. What you want to see is this one open lower. All right, so the biggies like Labu, still nothing there. It looks like it's trying to base, but it hasn't yet. Nugget is more compelling because gold stocks seem to be picking up a little bit more steam right now. Whoops. Oh, and I forget which ones they were. Gold. Oh, Goro. Goro is one. You can see the fry pan bottom breakout. We did. Oh, JNUG is the other one. GG, you get ready to buy this one on positive trading tomorrow. SA back and filled a little bit today, but still in a wave 3. AU, same thing. Stay long. Just as a safety stop. Put your stop just below today's low. It shouldn't come back through that level. Okay, let's see. Oh, the other biggies. Tesla. Nothing there. Don't know which way it's going. It's trying to base, but I wouldn't touch this one until you see a definite trend change, meaning above the T line. Amazon, same scenario. Would have stopped out on Friday if I was short, but I wouldn't be going long, and I wouldn't be short right now. Apple, same scenario. It had a hard time getting up through the T line, which is very indicative. Wouldn't be short, but I wouldn't be long either. Now, if you did happen to stay short, which would have been a tough row to hoe, you stay short. But a lot of these with the pop-up on Friday, told you the bulls have picked out an area where they started to come in. NVIDIA. This one would be the one I'd be most apt to, and that would have even been a toughie to stay short when they gapped it up above the previous day's open, especially down here in the oversold area. So there are times where you know that the prospects of seeing when a trend reversal is occurring, that you can go short or you go long, but there are times when you don't know which way it's going. Just go back to cash. More than likely within the next 2-3 days, you're going to have opportunities that give you a much higher probability of analyzing which way things are going. NetEase is still a good looking chart. It backed off today, right to the 50, but then came back up and closed above the T line. So what that pretty much tell you? That the bulls are still kind of in this one. The NetEase would probably be the favorite one to start going after on any positive trading. We're watching crude oil. Crude oil is also kind of basing in here. But remember our analysis that if you start seeing an uptrend that's very indecisive, ready for the next if they're not going up decisively, that means if they get bored or scared, they'll sell it off hard again. Now this one I am kicking myself today because I saw this setup, a J-hook pattern. I knew to be buying on positive trading today, and I got distracted. So that's one of the things that I always have to kind of remind myself. At night when I'm analyzing this stuff, I've got to write down what I want to do, because if I don't, think, oh, man, tomorrow I'm going to buy gold, or tomorrow I'm going to buy soybeans or silver or whatever, and get doing other things and just forget. So always write down what your game plan is. Somebody in the chat room saw this one, ANIX. That's still a good-looking chart as long as it stays above the T-line. And Intelsat. Now, this one you get ready to buy on positive trading because you can observe the obvious, which is you had an inverted hammer, doji type day, bullish confirmation, J-hook pattern. If this was a 12-point move, look for another 12-point move to the upside. And why would you suspect another 12-point move? Because look how it's starting. Morning star type signal with an inverted hammer, doji, gap up. That usually implies there's going to be another strong move. Up some over here. Wing looks like a fry pan bottom. It has just now broken out. Wave 1, wave 2, going into wave 3. And Fred, another fry pan bottom. Observe the obvious. Came up above the 200. Pulled back today, and where did it pull back to? This is why I keep illustrating when they use the T-line as support. Because nobody has the T-line on their charts. Oh, cat. Oh, cat. Okay, there's a cat. We're starting to take bids again. You come over here. Okay. The fact that they use the T-line as support and nobody has that on their charts tells you how relevant that is as far as being a natural support level. And if they're using a natural support level, you want to be ready to buy this because that tells you they aren't selling this one off at all. There's another J-hook, not so much a J-hook, but a scoop pattern setting up on NBT. That one you want to keep an eye on because what do we expect coming out of here? A slingshot effect out of that scoop. T-Lab. Doji, 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 inverted hammer, doji, gap up. Through the T-line, through the 50, and through this downtrending channel. That becomes just that gap up right there. Tells you after a series of indecisive trading, it looks like they came back and filled that gap right there. Look for the next move of that magnitude. Will it happen that quickly? Doubt it, but at least you know that's the magnitude of move. So the reason we can use that estimation is if this was a 4% move, it might not be very intriguing. But if this is going from 870 to 11, if that's a 30% move, that becomes much more interesting as far as analyzing whether to get into that trade or not. REGI, right off the 50, doji sandwich. If it breaks through this level right here, you want to be a buyer going into wave 3. WTI, why is this an intriguing chart? Number one, they've bounced off the 200. I'm sorry, the 50. Secondly, look where they opened this one today. Closed it here, gapped it up and did a doji. If they open this positive tomorrow, what do you got going on? A bullish flutter kicker off the 50. Is Reggie a scoop pattern? Kinda. you can consider it a scoop pattern. And so even if you want to make it a scoop pattern, it's still the implication right here is that your doji sandwich coming up off the 50 is very relevant. So remember, WTI has the potential of a doji sandwich, not a doji sandwich, a bullish flutter kicker, which is the same reason we like AMCX, because it did a bullish flutter kicker off the 200. No, busy. So kind of Derm also has this cat. Oh, going to be sold. But you've done. Kitty. J-hook pattern with kind of a kicker type signal. At least there's your first target. Hold on, I got some distractions here. Another J-hook pattern. And what started this uptrend? Look at your kicker signal, gap up, gap up, gap up. Now consolidation. What's this telling you? There's a lot of bullish force here. Now there's profit taking. And what's the other relevant factor? They couldn't close it below the T-line when they started buying again. So what's the gap ups tell you? That there's a lot of force starting to come into that trade. It's going to give you a much higher probability of a strong price move. Morningstar signal on SNCR. If this one, I don't know why it's doing that. Lost all the information back here. What's happened? Anyways, if it comes back up above the T-line, it's a good situation. And here we are with SITE. Also, an inverted hammer, kind of kicker type up move, broke the T-line. Where's your next likely target? First target, second target, third target. So anyways, even though the markets are kind of dismal, there's still some good opportunities in this market. I wouldn't necessarily be going short right now. If you're short and the short positions are still working, you stay with them. But you become a little bit more diligent as far as watching to see when if you're in an oversold area, when the buying might start. Right now, there's just some good J-hook type patterns that are starting to work. So that's about all I got tonight. Oh, somebody who's private messaging me again on the training session this weekend. It is taking the best signals and patterns. A lot of people ask, well, which ones are the, usually when I'm doing a new training to a new group, or a training to a new group, they ask, all right, which ones out of the signals are the best ones? Well, remember, we've already done the 12 major signals, which kind of cultivated out of the 50 or 60 signals in the candlestick universe, which ones were the best ones. So the answer is those are the best ones. Now, obviously, there's only one that's real powerful, and that's the kicker signal. But the rest of them all work at the appropriate times and with a high degree of probability. And there's patterns that, that's right, the best ones, the ones that work. The patterns also work well. But there are combinations of signals. Like your best friend signal, it usually implies a strong weekend. Joe, that's what's coming up in a few weeks. We're going to be. This is why I'm kind of pushing everybody to do this session this weekend, because once you are able to do your own scanning and you decide, all right, I'm going to concentrate on the best friend, the kicker signal, the inverted hammer, I'm going to just do 4 or 5 and learn them very well, then I'm going to be doing a session in a couple of weeks where we take each one of those signals or patterns. And this one right now we're doing, obviously, currently, when it broke out of this wedge formation, where can it go? Go here, 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 here. So there are probably 4 or 5 option spreads that you could do based upon your risk-reward factor. And it could be based upon a couple factors. 2 weeks out, we'll be trading at least here, or here, or here. 3 weeks out, we'll be trading here, here. So we can go through and pick out what we think is the best risk-reward based upon the chart, number 1. And then number 2, which option strategy works the best. Now, we have a lot of people come in with option strategies for trainings. I try to keep mine relatively simple, but it has 2 features to it. 1, what is the analysis of the chart? And 2, which option strategy makes the most sense math-wise? Meaning, which option strategy do I have the combination of minimum risk with maximum return based upon the math? Yeah, that's right. The broken wing. So I kind of stayed away from a lot of these, like the iron condor or the something or other butterfly, because I thought somebody'd come up with some very sophisticated option trading strategies over the years. But as I went back and looked at them, that was stuff I learned back in when I was a stockbroker with Kidder Peabody, when the options started coming out on individual stocks back in the early 80s. So whatever name you give them doesn't really matter. It's how you use them. Oh, does simplicity work anymore? Yes. The more simple your analysis, I mean, the last thing you want to do is spend 45 minutes trying to analyze what type of option strategy you want to put on. If you have to spend any more than 5 minutes figuring out which would be the best option strategy, then you're spending too much time. If the simple ones work greatly, then why should bother with the complicated ones? I don't, Diana. That's why when we do our option training, we're going to give, again, as you know, I try to keep everything as simple as possible. So you're going to learn the iron condor or the, can't remember all the names of them. And we're going to probably spend at least 10 minutes on each one. The only reason that, I should say that. A lot of people like to analyze and put on these complicated trades. I would rather find a simple trading strategy, use it. If it works, stay with the trade. If it doesn't work, close it out and find another trade. Okay, so I guess with that, Jim, let's go ahead and do the double line. And in 3.6 seconds, do the next double line. Okay, we did all the lead stocks. Obviously, they're getting the attention. I'd still be a buyer of CGC on positive trading tomorrow. Own a bunch of different option strategies all the way up to the 210. I think it's 200 to 210, which I bought for 50 cents. So in the next week or two, if it goes above 210, that 50 cents goes to 10 bucks. So that's the type of risk reward type situation I'm looking for. Where if it doesn't work, I've lost 50 cents. If it does work, I've made 10 bucks. IGC, nothing yet. You can see the consolidation back below the T line is still there. This is why when you start seeing something move this far away from the T line, I would have been watching definitely my 10-minute chart. Just on the alert that if you're this far away from the T line, but notice that when they start selling it, where are they? They're still back below the T line. You don't do anything with this one yet. AK Steel, nothing of any great magnitude here. I wouldn't do anything with this until it closes above the T line. Front line, this one you can get ready to buy. Notice the J-hook pattern, the classic. Fry pan bottom, J-hook pattern with a bullish doji sandwich. Get ready to buy this one on positive trading. Again, the information conveyed by the signals, like a bullish flutter kicker, is going to give you a lot more probabilities that things are heading higher. Gary, this one still doesn't come up, CVSI. That if the market turns around and heads up, there's going to be a lot of stocks heading up. But the whole point of investing is trying to get the maximum use out of your dollars. So if things are heading up, you want to find the ones that are heading up the fastest. Ultra Group, If you like it, you can be buying it. It's just not a real enticing chart right now. Now, there's a lot of times when you see a good-looking chart and it turns bad. That doesn't mean it's going to turn good again. That means investor sentiment may have changed the investor sentiment for the longer term. You probably want to. Sometimes you just go someplace else. CAG, another one that has the prospects of doing a bobble breakout, especially if it starts trading up above the 50-day moving average tomorrow. SFIX, nothing yet. If you were short, I would have covered the short. I wouldn't be going long, so at this point, I wouldn't be long or short this one. IQ, kind of the same scenario, just not a very good-looking chart at this point. So what may have been a good-looking short now doesn't look like either a good short or long. I would be buying Crone on positive trading with the expectation of it coming back up to this level. And same scenario on this one. Now, obviously, these are all going to be high flyers. So if you're buying this one, you're watching to see what happens once it gets up to this level. But right now, you've got a bullish doji sandwich, stochastics curling back up. The implication is that these should be moving higher. Tractor Supply, nothing. Wouldn't be long or short. And TJ Maxx, another one that isn't very compelling either. You can be buying on the basis that you've got kind of a bullish flutter kicker, that if it does come up through that level, at least you're probably going to come back up and test this level. If not, that level. AYTU. Ooh. Nothing. Gerald, yeah, that's just not a good looking chart until they can get above the T line. The ears. That one has got kind of the fry pan bottom breakout. If you're long, you don't want to see it come back down through this level. That means they failed the 200. If you're thinking of going long, you definitely want to see it open positive and trade back up above the 200. Sylvain, that one's just not coming up. Advanced Micro. Wouldn't be long or short. Right now it doesn't know which way it wants to go. An ABLI. ABIL. Nothing. Don't want to be in this one at all. Not until you see a strong buy signal. Crude oil. Crude oil is trading up a little bit after hours, I think. It's up 7 cents, so it's at 71, so it's still trading right in this range on this chart. Trying to base, but nothing yet. It still has to get back up above the T-line. WTI we did. This one had a doji gap up, which means if it opens positive, you've got a bullish flutter kicker in progress. Hertz. Oh, what's the rationale on Hertz and Avis? That there's so many cars destroyed in the wake of the hurricane that people are going to be renting cars. So you can be buying this one on positive trading after your inverted hammer. Just needs to stay above the T-line. Avis, another one that still needs some more room. I mean, it needs to break out through the 50 at least, because you could kind of draw your resistance level right down through here. So nothing wildly exciting about these stocks at this point until they get out into a new range. O'Reilly's, another one, same scenario. You can be buying it, but you definitely want to watch to see what it does kind of here at this resistance level. ConocoPhillips, nothing. If you're short, you can stay short. Remember, the bigger the signal, the more compelling the direction. SIG, this one's not going to come up. Yep, the 5-letter signals won't come up on here. L Brands, this is what you call the message. They gap it up, big move, they bring it down. The message is they gapped it up. Then if they start trading a positive, that tells you this initial profit taking's over. Just stay long on this one. IGC, not yet. Still need to see the breakout. Remember, as long as you're below the T-line, I think your stochastics are still heading down. Look at the difference on this one. You broke this wedge, and your stochastics are heading up. The SPY, same scenario. It was almost a doji today until the last 10 minutes or so. And the diamonds, I would suspect, look exactly the same. Oops. Yep. Just nothing conclusive. Right now, I wouldn't be long or short the indexes. Now, Sienna, There's your ultimate, no, almost your ultimate inverted hammer. This one I would be a buyer. Morning star signal with an inverted hammer doji. I would suspect, Shaw. This being your next target. Now, is that relevant as far as return? It's not quite 10%, but the probabilities of it going up here are pretty high. And all you do is once it gets here, you just see what type of signals occur at that level. SCVL. This is one that this is one of the trading strategies. Is notice where the buying occurred. And notice what happened right here at the 50. Doji, 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 bullish confirmation, doji, bullish confirmation. I mean, this is observe the obvious. This is why we always know or kind of project that the moving averages act like magnets. If you're an institution and you're thinking, oh, yeah, this looks good, I'm ready to buy this, where am I going to wait to buy? I'm going to see what they do, if they pull back and see if the 50 acts as support. If it looks like it's showing a support as an institution, yeah, I'm going to start coming in because everybody's watching to see what happens. They aren't buying until it gets back to that level. Kind of the same scenario on Advanced Micro. I wouldn't be long or short right now, but you can see that it's hovering right here at the 50. I'd be more apt to buy it if it comes back up through the 50. Oh, this one dropped way off. Did they pay a dividend or something today? This one usually pays a pretty good dividend. I would suspect there's going to be some selling back to the 50-day moving average. And Crisp, this one, if you're short, you can stay short. So you see a buy signal. Zynga, still nothing compelling there. If you like it and you're long, you stay long. It has to open positive tomorrow. Stay in it. And T-Mobile, this one needed to open positive. If yeah, I would not be long or short this one right now. CPE, this one you can buy on positive trading. Yeah, Christopher can do ETFs just as well as indexes. Remember, candlestick signals are the accumulative knowledge of everybody buying and selling during a specific time frame. It doesn't matter what type of trading entity it is. AJRD. That one doesn't really have any reversal. You can be buying it as long as it stays above the T line. But when it doesn't have a reversal signal, I'm more apt to watch to see what happens at the first resistance level. Because if they start selling, you close it out, and then you wait for a buy signal. There's just less strength in a reversal that doesn't have a candlestick reversal signal. Zoo, bullish engulfing. You can buy this one on positive trading if you like to. SCVL. What is the volume? SCVL. It did 300,000 shares today on a $39 stock, and that seems average. That's not really low volume. And T2, another one that needed to open positive and trade positive. So this one you don't do anything with until you get some confirmation of which way they want to take it. Schwab dividend. Nothing here. Wouldn't be long or short. Cut. of a timber index, stay short. Now, you can see you're in the oversold area and you see a doji. Just remember, just one simple rule, that if you see a doji in the overbought or oversold area, watch to see what they're doing at that level. Remember, doji indicates indecision between the bulls and the bears. Zenga, I don't know what Zenga does. And Penn, you can stay short on this one, yes. You can short it on weakness if it breaches this kind of little support level right in here. ABX, you stay long. If I was long, I'd use today's open as my stop. You don't want to see it come back down through that level. WPM, another one where you can just stay long as it stays above the T-line. I don't know whether I would short this one because this one's more of a dividend play. I don't think, I would suspect that if they're bringing it back, they're just bringing it back to the 50. And silver, moving up, kind of your bobble breakout, cup and handle, look for more upside. Okay, we can still make money in this market. Obviously right now it's the weed stocks that are getting a lot of the attention and the gold stocks. Oops, how come that didn't work? There we go. AMRN, stay long as it stays above the T-line. Okay, Zenga is an internet gaming site. All right. Okay, everybody. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. I say bright and early. Today was such a dismal day here in Pittsburgh. Dark and rainy. So with that, we'll see you in the morning.